Well, at Drexel University, the pro-terrorist anti-Israel campus occupiers demanded that administrators terminate its chapters of two Jewish student organizations. Yeah, got to get rid of the Jews. The Drexel Palestinian Coalition set up their encampment on the campus this past Saturday and gave a wide-range list of demands to administrators. These demands included that Drexel terminate the university's Hillel chapter for being a global Zionist campus organization. The Hillel chapter is a student Jewish organization, as I said earlier. Not only that, but the group is also calling for the termination of the Drexel Shabbat because they welcomed an ex-Israeli occupation soldier to their organization. Along with the demands to terminate the two Jewish student organizations, they demanded that Drexel divest from Israeli state institutions. Here with me to discuss all of these demands from the anti-Israeli agitators is Campus Reform's Editor-in-Chief Zachary Marschall. Zachary, look, these people are quite a piece of work, aren't they? We demand this and we demand that. And I would say, and so what? There's the door right over there. That's what I would do. But Drexel has apparently, entertained this to a point. What are your thoughts when you see this kind of nonsense?
Well, it tells me that they're entertaining, un-American values and un-American activity. This is not just a violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of religion. This is also an example of the students advocating for racial segregation. And the protesters are not going to stop with Jewish students. They are the first target, but they won't be the last. If you disband Hillel and Chabad, you're going to end up disbanding Christian and Catholic communities and centers on campus, like the Newman Center, and you're going to go after organizations like multicultural centers or different types of student unions that aren't the preferred minorities of these leftist agitators. So this is a slippery slope, and Drexel, if they want to remain a college, in anyone's estimation, they need to put their foot down and say either be Americans or leave.
Yeah. I look at these campus uprisings, the agitation, the violence, the arrogance, frankly, Zachary, of these people, these children who think they can just stomp their feet and pound their fists and they'll get what they want because, darn it, they've got a cause. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. You don't just get to start breaking things and setting fires and spraying graffiti on everything. That's not how change works generally, is it?
No, and we know from appeasement in the 1930s that you just don't stop at the first ask. I have an op-ed out this week in Daily Wire that says, these really are terrorists on campus, because a recent poll came out showing that 36% of them want to use terrorist tactics to get their way, and 40% of them empathize or sympathize with Hamas. So no matter what they demand in the spring, they're going to come back in the fall with a vengeance, and it'll be even more severe. The only way forward is expulsion or arrest.
Yeah, expulsion or arrest. That's the way it should be. So, okay, so where does it go from here, do you think? What happens next? What happens? I just saw the University of Michigan. They just cleared their encampment here in the last 24 hours, I think. So some of these clingers on are still going on out there. Why any university would still be entertaining this a month or 6 weeks later is beyond me. Your thoughts?
Well, if it's still going on, that's because the university presidents like it. We have to go back to what it was like last fall on campuses, and university presidents couldn't be bothered to care about Jewish students. They are still there by and large, and they really do like these pro-Hamas activists, and they don't really care about Jewish safety or suffering. What we see, though, is a tale of two different countries. We have one country, America, which we see at University of Florida, at University of North Carolina. They are taking a hard stance on it. They are disbanding and having zero tolerance for these encampments. Other universities are negotiating away. We're seeing that at Northwestern. We're seeing that at Drexel and at Brown. So what we're going to see is, given the outside funding that these little protester terrorists have, they're going to keep iterating their strategies and tactics. They feel emboldened by the attention, and they're going to come back even worse in the fall. It might look different than it was in the spring, but it's not going away in August. It's going to come back, and it'll probably be much worse than it was in April.
And I think you're right on that, Zachary. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think it's going to be worse. And so here's the problem. When the kids return to campus late August, early September, and this returns, and this rears its ugly head again, especially if Israel is still in Rafah or anywhere else in Gaza exercising their right to defend themselves against terrorism. The problem then becomes a political problem even bigger than it is today for Joe Biden and all the Democrats, actually. Because in places like Michigan, where they're having this weekend of this global Palestinian conference with all these people coming into Detroit, you've got that going on. You've got the same problems in Minnesota. And that state is only a 2-point state right now for Donald Trump to catch Joe Biden. It's unbelievable. Joe Biden's only winning by 2 points in Minnesota. This is a political problem for the Democrats. And if it gets in everybody's grill in September, when people start voting, it has an impact, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And as disgusted as I am by Biden's betrayal of Israel when it comes to Rafah, I have to admire him for being able to create enemies out of both Jewish and Arab voters, both despise him equally for his policy in the Middle East. So it's just a complete embarrassment as far as the campaign and administration are concerned. But what's even going to be worse, though, is that some of these universities, such as Rutgers and Brown and Northwestern, are promising votes or discussions about whether or not to divest in the fall semester. That's going to be September, October, right at the height of the presidential campaign. Students are not going to like it if the discussions turn into we're not going to divest. They're going to want divestment votes, and they're going to want universities to do it. So couple their aggression with the height of a contentious presidential campaign, and I expect a very ugly fall semester in higher ed.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be ugly out there. I think you're right. Zachary Marschall, always appreciate you being here, sir. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. After the break. The liver is an important organ in the human body with a range of key functions. Of course, stick around. I'll be bringing on an expert from Pure Health Research to discuss the benefits of a healthy liver. Next on AVL.